and welcome to the very first episode of my nodal series. Yes! So to start, we're going to look at the North Node in Capricorn. Therefore, by having your North Node in the sign of Capricorn, it would automatically mean that your South Node is in the sign of Cancer. For more information all about the nodes within astrology though, please be sure to check out my introduction video. I would also like you to keep in mind that the nodes are strongly connected with karma and past lives, and for the purpose of this series, I will be addressing them as such. I'm also going to be explaining these placements rather directly, but please just take everything with a grain of salt. Don't take it all as absolute truth or set in stone. And if you don't believe in past lives, then just look at your South Node as your younger years and then your North Node as you grow older. I've also made a video all about karma, so I'll put the link to that video as well if you would like to check that out. Alright, so let's get into this. North Node in Capricorn. I actually happen to have this placement. We're going to start then by looking at the South Node in Cancer. So where is it you're coming from? First and foremost, something that you must be aware of here, and that is dependency. This is because there is a strong desire to be taken care of, in which you develop these emotional dependencies towards others, which corners and forces others to become your basis for your security. You want to feel safe. You want to feel protected and cared for. But why might this be? Because in a previous lifetime, you most likely spent it as a householder. You would have been strongly identified with your family. In fact, home meant everything to you. Family meant everything to you. And all your needs were taken care of by your family. You were clothed, you were fed, you were watered, you were provided with shelter. And how you felt emotionally was discussed openly. And so, you grew a natural understanding of how families worked and how families functioned within the home, and really how to be attuned emotionally with how you felt and how others felt as well. Though still, it could have been a situation where you reached out your tender arms to care for others within the home, spending so much of your time attending to their needs whilst completely neglecting your own needs. Now, the amazing thing about experiencing such a prior life to this one is that it provided you with a caring and empathetic nature, as well as a sensitive and responsive nature at that. And it's these qualities that have been brought over from your previous life and into this life, where you sort of know how to care for other people. And if your North Node and your South Node are in a healthy balance, then these qualities will be expressed rightfully so. However, and this is a big however, some traits that you must work on reducing would be the likes of controlling others through your emotional overreactions, moodiness, using the past to avoid the present, avoiding taking responsibility for your life, being too defensive for your own good, insecurity leading to inaction, and limiting yourself through fear. And if you are living far too much in your South Node whilst denying the healthy qualities of Capricorn to balance yourself out, then it just might be these qualities that show their heads. Therefore, it is about discarding any tendencies that you have of manipulating others through your emotional outbursts as you crave more and more attention and more nurturing just so you can feel happy. And instead, approach others from a position of authority with self-respect, using a sensible approach to situations rather than an irrational one which comes across as rather needy, where you sort of drain yourself and everybody else around you dry. See, the thing you must know is that now in this life, you possess karma related to your family. And because of this, you might be born into a family in which your immediate family come with emotional problems. And so what do? Well, you take on these emotional problems and you soak up every emotion of those that reside within your family home, feeling as if their emotional problems are your emotional problems. But whilst you were more than capable of nurturing your family members in a past life, do you feel capable in this life? No. But why not? Because in this lifetime, there is great difficulty of getting close with your family members. This is because the support you want to provide for your family members comes with feelings of emotional intensity. In fact, emotional receptivity is extremely heightened here, to the point where you want to just get the whole family life over with so that you can live your own life. And so here we see the struggle of the balancing act between the nodes. Whilst one part of you wants to reach out your hand and help your family, all as this huge cover-up so that you don't have to take responsibility for your own life, and the other part of you wants to reach out and make your family your success story, whilst not having the slightest idea of how to achieve success yourself. Can you see how both Capricorn and Cancer are playing out at the same time here? So with all of this information in mind, where are you headed in this life as we explain your North Node in Capricorn? And also, what are some steps you can put in place for yourself in order to head in this direction? The first step, North Node in Capricorn. You might not like what I have to say here. You might not like it at all. And that is to distance yourself from total emotional involvement with your family. Now, I'm not saying that you completely disregard your family altogether. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I mean here is, it's getting to a stage where you can stand amongst your family with a more objective approach. Where yes, you can understand their emotional needs, I mean, that's a given. But whilst you do that, you can also hold a detached position. And this is something that I think is rather good to address, because I believe that it's very much possible to understand how a person feels emotionally whilst also being impersonal. This reminds me of a situation I was in the other week with my Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon friend, and she broke down crying suddenly in front of me, and I didn't really know how to respond. I'm not the best when it comes to others crying in front of me, and while she was asking me how to solve the problem, and I did really want to help her, I realized that trying to solve the problem wasn't what she needed in that moment. I didn't say, oh, get over yourself or stop that. I tried my very best to support her. But yeah, when it comes to my Cancer Moon brother, and if he breaks down crying around me, there's times when I'll just bring him in and hug him. But yet there are other times when I do remain impersonal with him. I think it just depends on the situation, but I do get more emotionally overwhelmed, I think, and drained when it comes to my family, which I've noticed more. And I don't just mean that one emotion of crying, I'm talking about emotions across the board here. But ultimately though, I do think it's possible to be both empathetic and objective. But back to you, North Node in Capricorn. When your happiness is no longer dependent on resolving the problems of everyone in your family, you can actually become quite good at managing your family in a way that brings productive results. But like I said, the first step is by you distancing yourself from your family. And then when you do approach your family, and spend time with your family. It's about approaching them from a position of authority rather than a position of need. I'm going to tell you some examples from my own life here because, like I said, I do have this placement. I've told you guys about my family experiences before, but for those of you who don't know, I live in Northern Ireland. And when I was 19, I moved up north for university. So I was up north away from my family home in my first year of university. Then in my second year of university, I moved back home and I just got the train back and forth. But then when I was 20, I moved to Australia and I lived there for 6 months. Then after that, I moved to Florida and New Jersey in America, and I lived there, well, between those two states for about 8 months. I got home for my final year of university and I did the same thing, family home, traveled up and down for my final year. Then when I was 23, I moved to Canada and I lived there for 6 months. Then I moved back to my family home and I stayed there for 6 months. Then when I was 24, I went to teach English in Colombia, which I changed my mind, and instead I lived in California for half a year. Then I moved back home to my family home once more. That was in September 2016. Phew, right? I stayed in my family home right up until January 8th, 2018. And here I am now, in my own place. Still in Northern Ireland, but it's my own place. It's my own place. And I've been here for I've been here for 5 months now, and I couldn't be happier. I feel like everything was just so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, with no stability there. And now I have this stability, and it's really nice. And now whenever I go to visit my family, I don't approach my family in this needy way anymore of, oh, I need a place, I need to come home, back to the family home. I approach them more in a way of certainty, more stabilized way, from a place of self-respect. And whilst I am so completely grateful to my parents, the most beautiful thing about it now is that I have a much better relationship with them, which makes me even more grateful. Even when I visit now, my mom will still offer me food and suggest giving me these different things for my house. She's just a typical Cancer. I'm just so thankful. I'm just so thankful. I'm able to use a much more sensible and mature approach. Therefore, North Node in Capricorn, you too can approach your family members in this way. But in order to do this, you need to discover what your family's goals are and approach them in a way that is grounded. Even when it comes to the family that you want to start for yourselves, it's developing specific goals in terms of how you run your own family. It's assuming the role of manager and helping to facilitate their goals in such a way that it promotes everyone's best interests. And yes, you are extremely sensitive to your emotions and those of others. And so because of this, you do understand how people's feelings can affect others. In fact, you might take personal responsibility for other people's moods. For example, you might attend a family get-together even though you don't want to go, just so that others don't feel bad due to you not going. I may or may not be guilty of this, but ultimately, it's about taking charge of your own emotions rather than feeling victimized by them. And it's allowing others to take responsibility of their own feelings. Other people's feelings are not your burden to carry. A great way actually to help you with your emotions is by practicing slowing down your breathing. It's learning to relax and allowing any nervous thoughts just just to pass by. And any memories from your past that just suddenly come from nowhere, that make you feel really low, that make you feel uncomfortable, it's trying to bring yourself back into the present. So say you really enjoy hot tea. Go and grab a cup of that hot tea, and whilst you hold that cup in your hands, look at the cup. Say the cup's a pink color. Look at it and say, huh, this cup is a pink cup. How does it feel? Oh, it's very warm. And take a smell of the tea, right? Smells good, smells good. Saying to yourself, I like this experience that I'm having right now. And it's learning to do that every moment in our lives. That as we're walking on the street, we're going places, right? Rather than us thinking, oh, I need to get there, I need to get there, I need to get there. What is it you're passing by along the way? What trees do you see? What birds in the sky are there? What way do your feet hit across the pavement? It's all of these different things. How does the air feel? Is it warm? Is the sun out? Are the clouds over the sun? Is it raining? It's being able to live moment by moment by moment. You see, North Node in Capricorn, you might find yourself constantly holding on to the past, which takes you out of the present and out of the natural flow of life. And this is because whenever the present doesn't make you feel good, you might drift back into thinking about the past. You might find that you're constantly trying to seek those memories of times when you felt loved and you felt joy. But then again, other memories can seep in just as fast. You might look back on particular things and just feel regret for what you didn't do and that you felt you should have done. But what is important here is that which you know right now. In this present moment is where the real power lies. And therefore, it is about taking charge of your life in the present. Another thing here as well with this placement I feel that I should address is that you also possess a strong fear of rejection. So much so that if someone rejects you, that it can completely cripple you. You might think that it's just all your fault. But where is this fear of rejection coming from? Well, it might stem from you constantly being shielded by your family members in a past life. Perhaps you never had to face the feeling of rejection, and so now when you experience it, it's just all too much. You simply can't handle it because you learned in a previous life that you couldn't really stand for much on your own. And so this neediness and dependency grew. But still, it could be that, like I said before, if your feelings and your needs were neglected in a previous life, this could have resulted in you behaving in a really needy fashion in this life. But either way you want to look at it, it seems that you've became much too sensitive to rejection. And due to these reasons, naturally, you don't want to reject others either, further resulting in attending events that you don't really want to attend just so others don't feel rejected. Therefore, it is about, like I said, it's the taking charge. It's taking charge of these situations. It's creating a mutual understanding between you and others. For example, say a friend of yours cancels an event or an outing between the two of you. Try not to take it so personally. If you have a disagreement with a friend, allow yourself time to calm down and resolve the issues when you've thought it through. See, whilst you want to just call up your friend and get your feelings out about why they rejected you, your instincts might be wrong. In fact, a great way to attend a possible misunderstanding between you and a friend is to have a goal in mind and for them to know your intention. You could say something like, I want to share this with you, but I do want you to know that I'm doing this so that we can resolve our misunderstanding, so that it can bring us closer together. And so, in this lifetime, North Node in Capricorn, You are learning to be an adult. An adult in that you discard your tendency to have childish reactions, to commit yourself to a particular goal, overcoming any fears of rejection that you have, and understanding that rejection is a part of life. And by performing these things, you will develop self-respect and success. You speak with certainty, with authority, from the in-charge part of yourself. And when you do this, others will cooperate well with you and respect you for it too. And the most amazing thing is that with age, just like Capricorn does, your strengths will increase. You'll be able to build on all of these experiences in which you no longer blame yourself for everything, in which you no longer blame others for everything either. And if things go wrong, you will understand that you're not personally at fault. Sure, you might feel as though things are your fault due to these emotional burdens that you felt like you had to carry, but the more you grow, the more you ease up on yourself. And if you can learn to expand your scope to a bigger picture, you might see how your role in this world affects the world itself. And it's recognizing the opportunities whilst also seizing the opportunities. It's converting your emotional energy into power. It's developing integrity and keeping to your word. It's about recognizing that your higher power is always in control and that whatever is happening will ultimately work to your benefit. Whatever that higher mission is, North Node in Capricorn, know that it is part of your destiny. So trust in this mission and come to know your mission, understand your mission, because once you do, a natural pathway will open up before you. And sure, whilst it's not a smooth and straight path, whilst you might follow it for a little while and possibly step off it just for a little bit, I have a feeling that something will be nagging at you to get right back on it again. But above all else, North Node in Capricorn, it's not about what's waiting for you up there. This mountain climb to the top that is so often discussed with your energy. Because to suggest there is a top, it is to suggest that there is so much success waiting, that it's waiting for you. But what if the success isn't waiting for you anywhere? What if the success has been with you all along and you're just not seeing it because you're so stuck in the past? Stuck in the past. And so it's not about reaching the top of the mountain, because sustainable lifelong success, it's found in appreciating each and every moment. As Alan Watts once said, no work or love will flourish out of guilt, fear, or hollowness of heart. Just as no valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now. Okay, North Node in Capricorn, that concludes your video. I hope that you were able to benefit from this video, and even if you want to let us know which house your North Node in Capricorn is in, let us know in the comment section. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and if you would like to see more videos from myself, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button, and I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!